Hello everyone, I hope you're all still having a wonderful Christmas time. Today, as we reach the end of another year in this troubled land of Éire, I just wanted to reflect on some of the legacies of our current government. Others I cannot reflect upon for legal reasons. But firstly, I want to dedicate this short video to the memory of my very dear friend, Fintan Dunn, who passed from this realm very recently. Fintan was one of the most brilliant and insightful journalists ever produced by our little nation. A pioneering and dedicated truth seeker, his passion for justice was only ever matched by his innate integrity. He is truly a great loss to us all. May you rest in peace, Fintan. So the first matter I want to mention is that very controversial national piece of legislation, the Criminal Justice, Incitement to Violence or Hatred and Hate Offences Bill of 2022. Once again, this bill has been deferred and is scheduled to be dealt with early in the new year. The overarching EU legislation, the Digital Services Act, another piece of censoring legislation, is scheduled to become fully operational in February of next year. And the dovetailing effect of both of these pieces of legislation, especially if the national one remains in its current state, will render it virtually impossible to criticise government policy without fear of criminal sanction and or having your content on social media deemed hateful and removed by trusted flaggers who have already been appointed by our government. This is so especially but not limited to the areas of immigration and transgenderism. It is of course deliberate and the potential for abuse is enormous. And this fact is recognised by both lawyers and non-lawyers alike. I and many others have already spoken about the specifics of these pieces of legislation, so I won't repeat them here. Furthermore, when you have a Minister for Justice who considers that someone who is anti-government is far right, when you have the so-called far right being demonised by mainstream media, and when you have mainstream journalists who consider that criticism of government policy now is potentially incitement to hatred, and other journalists who view the exposure of an inconvenient truth as somehow unacceptable and a matter which they themselves as journalists deem they have a right to censor and prevent the truth from being known to the rest of us, we know we are moving into very dangerous territory. We know also that we are living in a deeply divided nation and a deeply unsettled nation. This then is the legacy of our current government and a compliant media. It is of course deliberate, and if it continues will result in chaos. And that, my friends, is exactly what your globalist controllers want. For out of chaos comes order, ordo ab chao, a term that is as old as humanity itself and has been used to control us for aeons. We know also that various supranational organisations like the EU, the UN and the WEF have as their plan to create a one world government and a new world order. No, this is not a conspiracy theory. The evidence is overwhelming. You just won't find it on mainstream. In addition, last week in Dublin, 2 high-ranking officials from the WHO arrived from Geneva to ascertain Ireland's commitment to the WHO pandemic treaty. Now, if ratified, this pandemic treaty will give this unelected body, effectively controlled by the world's most powerful vaccine manufacturer, one Bill Gates, and headed up by a man who was wanted on suspicion of the commission of crimes against humanity in his own country of Ethiopia, effectively total control over every aspect of our health care in the event of a pandemic, real or imagined, and as so declared by that same body. Unfortunately, Stephen Donnelly, our Minister for Health, has already ensured Ireland's commitment to the ratification of this pandemic treaty. So if you as an individual are wondering what you can do about this, well, there are many things and more about that in the new year. But for starters, it's really important to arm yourself with knowledge. That means doing your own research. Do not rely on mainstream or Google. Check out Operation Mockingbird. Listen to the movie, watch the movie, Wag the Dog. It stars Dustin Hoffman, goes back to 1997. If you want to understand what disinformation is really all about. And when you do your research leads to knowledge, which leads to awareness, which leads to empowerment. Eventually, if enough people have enough awareness and enough knowledge about the truth, this changes the zeitgeist. A changed zeitgeist results in a changed reality. So you as an individual do have the power to bring about a shift in consciousness and a shift in reality. So never doubt your own power as an individual to bring about change, even in a small way. Remember, the power always rests with the people. So in the meantime, until we talk next year, I wish you all a very happy, peaceful, and joy-filled new year. Thank you for listening. And if you consider that this video is worth sharing, please do so quickly because I don't know how long it's going to remain up. Thank you very much.